Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Toronto police are looking for a suspect who set a midtown business on fire last week. On Friday, police released videos showing the suspect arriving at the business located near Avenue Road and Lawrence Avenue West on January 29, just after midnight. Once he was inside, the suspect allegedly used a flammable liquid and started a fire. In one of the videos, police showed a flash of orange seen appearing to be fire before the suspect hurriedly walks out of the building. Smoke starts billowing seconds later. Police said the suspect was last seen on Glengarry Avenue, walking toward Avenue Road. No injuries were reported in the fire. The suspect is described as 25 to 35 years old with a heavy build and a prominent nose. He was last seen wearing a hooded black sweater with red writing, a black knapsack, and a black toque. Police are asking anyone with the information to contact them at 416-808-3200 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. A pair of planned visits to the US by Ontario's premier during an election period has his political rivals crying foul and accusing him of violating a key election convention in Canada. Doug Ford is set to lead Canada's premiers on a mission to Washington, D.C. later this month. As the current chair of the Council of the Federation, a body comprised of all 13 provincial and territorial premiers in Canada, Ford has been leading the premier's response to threats by U.S. President Donald Trump to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. The premiers are expected to use the trip to promote Canada and to meet with U.S. political and business leaders to discuss a range of key issues, including the economy, energy, critical mineral supply chains, border security, and immigration. That trip is scheduled for February 12th. Ford is also set to visit Washington a second time, February 20th to 22nd, along with several other premiers during the annual meeting of the National Governors Association. The trips were announced back on January 10th, less than 3 weeks before Ford called a snap election, claiming that he needed a new strong mandate to deal with the tariff threats. Opposition parties have accused Ford of using the tariff threats as an excuse to have an election he wanted all along in order to capitalize on favorable polling numbers. They have also said that given Ontario is now in an election campaign, Ford's planned trips to Washington constitute a misuse of government resources as they violate a key convention in Canadian politics. Mississauga is hiking parking ticket fines from April onwards after city councillors approved the revised penalties on Wednesday. In a corporate report from January 17, the city staff said Mississauga's parking fines were $25 lower on average than the neighboring municipalities, which prompted the recommendation of 38% increase to all parking penalties. Additionally, the city's top parking offenses will see a $10 increase, and offenses that jeopardize public safety will see a $50 increment. In a meeting on Wednesday, Mississauga Mayor Carolyn Parrish said enforcing these parking penalties will make people stop and think. A total of 72 different parking tickets fines will increase starting April 1st. The largest increase, according to the new structure, will be $130 for parking in bike lanes, $75 more than the current fine. Parking without a permit is in an accessible space will cost $450, up from the current $400. The common parking violations like parking for more than 5 hours will increase to $60 from the current $35. Common parking violations like parking in a spot for more than 5 hours will nearly double from $35 to $60. Parking violations that pose immediate or serious safety concerns like parking on a sidewalk or too close to a fire hydrant will soon incur a $70 fine. Stopping in a school zone is set to cost $80, up from current $65. Mississauga Enforcement Director Georgios Thinos told Council the city could get an additional $7 million annually from the new parking fine structure. City Council has also approved increasing the number of parking enforcement officers in the budget for 2025, growing it to 71 full-time positions. The council is considering removing the hiked parking fines in Mississauga's waterfront areas after city staff recommended increasing the $100 zone fines to $150. Ward 1 Councillor Stephen Dasco said raising penalties by $50 might be a little excessive. In April last year, the City of Toronto approved increased parking fines for 123 offences that included illegal parking, stopping and standing in designated areas. The changes in new penalty amounts came into effect on August 1st, 2024. PC leader Doug Ford is doubling down on a plan he floated months ago to dig a tunnel under Highway 401 in order to relieve traffic congestion in GTA. In a news release, Ford called it a serious plan that will get Ontario drivers moving again. The tunnel would stretch from beyond Brampton and Mississauga in the west to beyond Markham and Scarborough in the east, the PC party said, and will include transit lanes. A new expressway under Highway 401 will be a game changer for our province, securing good-paying jobs for thousands of Ontario workers and adding billions back into an economy as we fight gridlock on our most congested highway, Ford said in a statement. Ford, who first floated the tunnel idea back in September, did not specify the cost of the massive project. He also said Friday that in order to keep people working in the face of tariff threats, a re-elected PC government would spend $15 billion to speed a priority transportation infrastructure projects. Those projects would include moving up the Shepherd East subway extension between Don Mills and McCowan roads and rehabilitating the key stretches of Highway 401 in the GTA. Meanwhile, NDP leader Murray Stiles said Friday that an NDP government would spend $4.05 billion over the next 4 years to make sure that every Ontario resident has a family doctor. As Premier, I will connect every single Ontarian with a family doctor, Stiles vowed. Her plan would involve recruiting and supporting 3,500 new doctors, including 350 in Northern Ontario. Stiles said that she would introduce a number of fast-track solutions in her first 100 days, including adding more family health teams, reducing specialist wait times, and boosting flexible care options. She also said that she could clear the path of 13,000 internationally trained doctors to practice in the province and would increase medical residency spots. Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie was also talking healthcare Friday, vowing to bring 1,200 doctors to practice in Northern Ontario if elected. Meanwhile, Green Party leader Mike Schneer said Friday that his party would cut income taxes for those making less than $65,000 a year. He said at the same time that he would raise taxes on those making more than $220,000 a year. After a brief burst of flurries overnight, Toronto is set to get even more snow this weekend with up to 10 centimeters expected in some areas. A winter weather travel advisory has been issued for the city, with snowfall accumulations of 5 to 10 centimeters expected between Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. Snow associated with a fast-moving low-pressure system is expected to move into southern Ontario from west to east Saturday's afternoon, Environment Canada said. Areas west of Toronto, including Mississauga, Brampton, Halton region, and Hamilton, could see 8 to 12 centimeters of snow. Bill Cluter, the meteorologist, said the quick-moving system will push in Saturday afternoon at around 4:30 p.m. and begin to taper off just after midnight. Early on Friday, snow squall warnings were issued for Barrie, Orillia, Midland, and the Bruce Peninsula, which were expected to see 10 to 20 centimeters of accumulation due to lake effect snow from Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. On Saturday, Toronto's daytime high will be -2 Celsius. It will remain cloudy in the city on Sunday with a 60% chance of flurries and high of 1 Celsius. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says US President Donald Trump isn't joking. He believes Trump's threat to make Canada the 51st state is a real thing, in part due to his desire to gain access to Canada's critical minerals, according to a source who heard the behind closed doors comment at a summit in Toronto on Friday. Trudeau made the remarks before a crowd of business and trade leaders who were brought together to discuss how to bolster Canada's economy in the face of Trump's ongoing tariff threat. The comments were made after media had been asked to leave the room. In recent months, Trump had repeatedly proposed Canada could avoid tariffs if it agreed to join the US as the 51st state. Trump has also referred to the Prime Minister as Governor Trudeau on social media. When Trump's 51st state musings were first reported late last year, following Trudeau's surprise trip to Mar-a-Lago, federal officials initially downplayed the comment as a joke. Asked about Trudeau's latest remarks in an interview with Question Period airing Sunday, Innovation, Science and Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne said, Canada is a proud nation and insisted this is not going to happen. Employment Minister and Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon echoed that sentiment while speaking to reporters at the summit. Canadian American Business Council CEO Beth Burke was among those invited to attend the economic summit on Friday. As an American, she said most U.S. citizens don't take Trump's annexation threat seriously. Burke, however, did say that Canada's critical minerals are a priority for the Trump administration. In late January, a report from the Wall Street Journal said those familiar with Trump's thinking think he is using the threat of tariffs to push for an early renegotiation of the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, which is due for review next year. Meanwhile, on his first day in office on January 20th, Trump announced his America First trade policy in an executive order calling for a study into alleged unfair trade practices due April 1st. Speaking to reporters in Washington, D.C. on Friday, Trump escalated his trade war, suggesting tariffs are coming to other countries in a broader effort to help shrink the American budget deficit. An afternoon stabbing in Scarborough has sent one person to a trauma center with serious injuries. In a social media post, Toronto police said officers responded to reports of stabbing just before 3:30 p.m. Friday in the area of Ellesmere and Scarborough Golf Club roads near Highway 401. Police said a man in his 40s was found with stab wounds. Paramedics took the man, who was conscious, to a nearby trauma center with what they said were serious, potentially life-threatening injuries. Officers are searching for a suspect described as a brown man in his 40s, who is 5'5" with a slim build. Roads in the area have since reopened.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.